Hello, Ashley and special guest Adeline here. Welcome to the first episode. I'm super glad you're here. I can't wait to be a part of this and have you join me. So I'll save the introductions for the next episode because I'm super excited to just get out there and tell you what I've got to say about preserving herbs today. So if you're anything like me, you have what I call garden anxiety, where you plant this beautiful garden, you spend all this time planning it and figuring out, where everything's gonna go and making sure it's all perfect and watching it grow and making sure it's doing well. And then you just worry about it and make sure that it's, doing well, and you want it to be successful and give you lots of goodies throughout the year. So it's garden anxiety because you're just worried about it. But one good way to kind of get over it is to be able to enjoy the fruits of your labor, even, early summer, midsummer, instead of just waiting for everything for when you can it and start to try to preserve all of the good stuff from your garden. So a good way to get over garden anxiety is to just harvest some of your garden and enjoy the fruits of your labor right away. So I planted some herbs that I'm going to talk about preserving, and I'm going to show you that now. So let's take a look here. All right, so here we are in my backyard. We've got the girls here who I love to show off because I just love my chickens. We've got Blanche, Brenda, Molly, and Dorothy here. I guess they're a little camera shy, but I love my chickens, love the girls as I call them. They give me some really delicious eggs and just some entertainment throughout the summer. I know Adeline loves that as well. So now let's venture on out to the garden. And I'll just kind of show you what I've got going so far. We've got my huge beefsteak tomatoes here. We've got a row of Romas there that you can't really see, but they're in there. We've got my tomatillo plants that are just going bananas. And we've got some jalapeno plants in there that are kind of tucked in the middle. We've got a row of onions, some green beans, carrots, and in this crazy mess, we've got some zucchini. Let's see. Yeah, you can see some big zucchini plants in there. We've got some yellow squash, eggplant, raspberries. So everything's doing really, really well. And I'm gonna go around here because the raspberries have little pokey things that I don't want to get in the middle of. So here's all the cucumbers, which are taking over everything. Got a huge yellow squash I need to pick tonight. But we are going to focus on the herbs. Now, I know they look a little sad right now, but that's because I picked most of them. So I'm kind of working backwards now. I'm going to show you what I did earlier because I already did my herb preservation. But I'm going to just explain to you what I did. So you can see I've got the chives, again, looking kind of sad now because I already did the work for them. Basil, it's blooming, going crazy still, even though I picked a bunch off. We've got the oregano kind of tucked in there, low to the ground, and the parsley, that is just going nuts. So let's talk preserving these herbs once we get back up to the house. So yeah, pretty proud of the garden. It's not crazy big, but it's doing really well. And like I said, my garden anxiety is on full high right now just because I just want it to stay this way and so that I can have a really good fall with getting all this stuff canned. Okay, back up at the house now. Let's talk preserving herbs. The first step obviously is to cut them. Use it, a good garden shears or even a kitchen shears if you want to, and get the herbs cut that you want. I use no chemicals on my garden to make sure that it's organic. But even so, you want to give it a good wash because when you water it and when it rains, there'll be some dirt on there, especially on the oregano. For whatever reason, some dirt really sticks on there. So wash it off, For both of these methods I'm going to talk about, you wouldn't need to do really anything besides wash them off, and you don't even really need to dry them that much. But preserving them in oil, super, super easy. All you need is an ice cube tray. I'll show you. Just a regular old ice cube tray. If you have one of those silicone ones, those work amazing, but you don't need them. And then some good olive oil. And I've got this picked up from Walmart. I like it. And you basically just chop up the veggies, or I should say herbs. You just chop them up. And I combined all mine. I'm grabbing them out of the freezer now because I did this a couple days ago. I combined all of my herbs. So I combined my chives, my parsley, my basil, and my oregano, because I figured most recipes that I make, I'm going to be putting them all in them anyways. You know, if you think of different pastas and things like that, you're using all those herbs. So I just put them all together. You don't have to. You can separate them out if you want to. So let's take a look at kind of a little quick shot at what it would all entail. Okay, so let's talk about the actual process for preserving these herbs in oil. This will be our first method. Super easy. You just need an ice cube tray, nothing fancy. If you got the fancy silicone ones, even better. Some good olive oil, and of course, a knife and cutting board and your herbs. So you've washed your herbs. I kept all of mine combined. So if you want to worry about separating them and doing this process the 4 different ways or however many herbs you have, go for it. I combined mine all together. So I washed them. I didn't really let them dry all that much. And I chopped them up really fine and combined them all in a bowl. I mixed them all together to make sure they're all well incorporated. And then I simply put, it's about, you know, a half of each one of these little ice cube spots full of herbs, okay? And I did that. I repeated it through this tray. Then I simply just poured this olive oil so that it goes up to the top. That's it. And put it in the freezer for a day, came back the next day and popped them out. Now you'll see, they look beautiful. They're gorgeous. Just, you know, your little ice cube size full of your herbs ready for recipes. It's as easy as that. Simply could not be any easier. Okay, so now let's talk the second method. Really not that much more difficult. Okay, so the second method for preserving our herbs is one that I'm not really even done with because it takes a little bit more time. So a couple of things that are needed for this, not too much. You need your herbs, obviously. You're gonna need some string because you're gonna be hanging your herbs, and you need a good dry, cool spot to hang them. And then a jar or a couple, depending on how you want to save them. Okay, so let's go out to my garage because I'm gonna show you where I've got my herbs hanging, because I simply cut the herbs, I wash them really good. Again, with the oregano, you gotta really make sure that you're washing them well. And then I got some string, and all I'm doing is simply hanging them in my garage like this, just hanging them off the strings. And they're gonna hang there for quite some time because they really need to dry out. You can look at these chives, they're starting to dry out. Parsley's got a ways to go. My oregano is getting pretty crispy. My basil, again, it's got a ways to go. So it's gonna need to hang for a while until it's completely dried out. You don't want any moisture in there whatsoever. Once it's completely dried out, that's when your work starts, okay? So when you've got all the herbs totally dried out, you've made sure that they're really dry, all you do, again, is chop them up. If you want to keep them all together, go for it. If you want to separate them out, go for it. In this case, I am going to separate them just because I want to keep them separate when they're dried, just because, you know, that's how you buy it. You buy your jar of basil, your jar of parsley. So that's where these jars come in handy. Chop them up, put them in the jars. Make sure they have a lid on them. Obviously, I'm reusing one that I've had just because why not? And you're done. That's it. And they'll keep for a super long time as long as you keep your own herbs that you've bought at the store. That's how long these will keep, as long as you made sure that you removed all the moisture from them. So, Adeline is digging in my utensil cabinet, as you can kind of see over here. So I'll be tending to that. And I really hope you stay tuned for the next segments that we have. I'm super excited to start doing this, and I hope you join me down the road. Bye.